What I discovered was, of course, that she was hunting for a man in England from 2013, and she wanted wealth and she wanted fame, and there's no doubt she targeted Harry.
It was a crucial Commonwealth Day for the monarchy after Harry and Meghan used their vile Netflix reality series to try and tear down the late Queen's most treasured institution. Here's a reminder.
It is interesting how she's exposing her as a yacht girl, someone who was paid off by rich men to go and hang out.
I choose people whose lives are shrouded in mystery, and they've climbed the greasy pole. They want to be famous, they want to be influential, they want to be powerful.
Meghan Markle likely spent time with Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein before she even met Prince Harry.
They want to hide their secrets, and I just love digging away to find out what they don't want us to know.
She flirts openly with other men.
A wedding guest list tells you everything, not through who attends, but through who gets invited and who gets excluded. When someone marries into royalty, that list becomes a historical document. It reveals priorities, strategies, and intentions more clearly than any interview ever could. This isn't about romance or tradition. This is about what happens when networking trumps relationships, when connections matter more than friendships.
54 nations were part of it, and they have demeaned it by saying that it's all empires too and the Netflix thing. But of course, the greatest damage which the Sussexes have done to the Commonwealth is their accusation.
The 2018 Royal Wedding Guest List read like a Hollywood talent agency roster. George Clooney, Oprah Winfrey, Serena Williams, David Beckham. Names that generate headlines, names that open doors in Los Angeles, names that matter in entertainment. But look closer at what was missing. Military colleagues who served alongside the groom for years, childhood friends who knew him before fame, the very people who shaped his authentic identity were notably absent from the evening celebration.
To tell the truth, I spoke to very few friends of Meghan because she put a fatwa on anyone talking to me who she could. So I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply.
This selective invitation strategy reveals something fundamental about modern ambition. When you're building a brand rather than a life, every decision becomes transactional. Every seat at your wedding represents potential future value. Old friends can't offer Hollywood connections. Military buddies don't run streaming services, so they don't make the cut. The message was clear. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a networking event disguised as a fairy tale.
Listen, I brought Meghan Markle, whatever her name is, to my Deal or No Deal celebrity golf tournament.
But in the end, nothing beats the truth, the real facts.
She was one of my Deal or No Deal girls that were, she was a caddy for all of my celebrities.
So when Meghan came along into the scene, I just thought, this is fascinating. How is this going to play?
The pattern started years before, in 2013. That's when the hunt began, not for love, but for position. The documentation shows calculated movement through social circles where power and wealth concentrated. This wasn't random social climbing. This was strategic positioning. Each relationship built toward the next, each connection opening doors to higher levels. The methodology was consistent: identify targets, create proximity, establish value.
Well, it's king and queen of hypocrisy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they are the arch hypocrites. And what's so awful about the Commonwealth thing is...
I met people in communities all around the world. And through that, I thought I knew. I thought I had an awareness to.
What makes this approach fascinating isn't its ambition, but its transparency. Most people hide their networking behind genuine interest. They pretend friendship while seeking advantage. But here the strategy was so bold, it became visible. Friends who couldn't provide career advancement found themselves ghosted. Relationships that outlived their usefulness simply ended. The ruthlessness was remarkable.
I was doing an interview to offer them a platform to tell their story about why they left. And that was my number one intention, was just clarity on why did you leave? And so some of the things that were revealed in that interview came as a surprise to me. And those surprises are now referred to as bombshells.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. And that's just by Netflix.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
The email silence Tom Bauer encountered tells its own story. Dozens of former friends refused to respond, not because they had nothing to say, but because they'd been warned. The control extended beyond current relationships to past ones. Anyone who might disrupt the narrative faced consequences. This isn't normal celebrity privacy. This is information management at its most extreme.
Throughout his whole life, he wants to please everybody, and yet he poses as a confrontationist. And it doesn't work. So he should have, vis-a-vis the Sussexes, cancelled the titles, and he should make absolutely clear that Harry is not well.
Consider what this level of control requires. Monitoring who talks to whom, tracking potential leaks, maintaining pressure on dozens of people simultaneously. The infrastructure needed for such surveillance suggests professional help. PR firms, legal teams, crisis managers, all deployed not to manage fame, but to manufacture it.
And he should make quite clear that Harry is not welcome. But everything about Charles is so indecisive. He can't even at the moment decide whether he should wear a uniform or not on the coronation or breach.
The Deal or No Deal connection provides unexpected insight. Before royal connections, before Hollywood success, there were golf tournaments and game show appearances. These weren't random jobs, but strategic positions. Places where wealthy men gathered, where connections could be made, where visibility led to opportunity. The pattern was already established. Be where power congregates.
Until they absolutely had to. Do you think Charles was hoping that Harry and Meghan would say, oh, you know what, we actually don't want the title?
Well, I think this is a very sad indication of King Charles's.
The Commonwealth criticism followed a predictable timeline. When Netflix needed content, colonial accusations emerged. When Spotify required controversy, institutional racism surfaced. The correlation between business needs and public statements was too consistent for coincidence. Each attack on the 54-nation organization aligned with contract deadlines or payment schedules. The wedding guest dynamics revealed the hierarchy. A-list celebrities in prime seats, family relegated to secondary positions. The visual message was unmistakable. Hollywood matters more than history. Fame trumps family. The future lies in Los Angeles, not London. Every seating arrangement reinforced this priority system. The friendship fatwa Bauer described wasn't just about privacy, it was about narrative control. When you're constructing a public image, contradictory voices threaten the structure. Old friends might remember different versions. Former colleagues might share unflattering stories. So they must be silenced, not through legal action, but through social pressure, through the implicit threat of exclusion from the new, glamorous world being built. The targeting strategy showed remarkable precision. Harry wasn't just randomly selected. He represented specific value: global recognition, institutional access, financial security, and most importantly, a platform that money couldn't buy. The approach was methodical. Create proximity, establish connection, intensify involvement, isolate from previous influences. Classic recruitment tactics applied to romance. The California ambition was evident from day one. The wedding guest list skewed heavily toward West Coast power players, entertainment executives, tech entrepreneurs, media moguls, people who could facilitate a Hollywood transition. The message to British society was clear: you're being replaced. The old world was being exchanged for the new. Tradition for opportunity. The speed of change was breathtaking. Military bonds built over years of service dissolved in months. Friendships that survived combat couldn't survive California. The transformation wasn't gradual but immediate. As if a switch had been flipped, one day surrounded by soldiers, the next by celebrities. The psychological whiplash must have been severe. The financial implications were calculated from the start. Every relationship evaluated for monetary potential. Every connection assessed for revenue generation. This wasn't just social climbing, but economic strategy. The wedding itself became an investment. 600 potential business partners gathered in one place, the networking opportunity of a lifetime. The Deal or No Deal revelation adds texture. This wasn't someone who stumbled into opportunity, but someone who recognized it everywhere, who understood that proximity to wealth created possibilities, who knew that being seen in the right places mattered more than talent. The game show wasn't just employment, but positioning. The friend silence Bauer encountered suggests legal involvement, non-disclosure agreements, confidentiality contracts, the machinery of celebrity deployed to prevent truth from emerging. But silence itself tells a story. When dozens of people refuse to speak, the absence of words becomes eloquent. It confirms control. It reveals fear. It suggests secrets worth protecting. The hypocrisy was breathtaking, demanding privacy while courting publicity, claiming victimhood while wielding power, attacking institutions while demanding their recognition. The contradictions were so blatant, they seemed intentional, as if the audacity itself was part of the strategy. Push boundaries until they break, then profit from the collapse. The evening dinner exclusion was particularly cruel. Harry's military friends could attend the ceremony but not the celebration. They could witness the wedding but not join the party. The symbolism was devastating. You were part of my past but have no place in my future. Your service mattered then but means nothing now. The Commonwealth attack served multiple purposes. It generated headlines. It created controversy. It positioned the attackers as progressive heroes. But most importantly, it severed ties that might have provided alternative narratives. By burning institutional bridges, they eliminated potential critics. The destruction was strategic, not ideological. The networking philosophy extended beyond the wedding. Every public appearance became an opportunity. Every interview, a chance to connect with someone powerful. The traditional royal approach of careful distance was replaced with aggressive engagement. Instead of maintaining mystique, they marketed availability. Instead of selective access, they offered themselves to the highest bidder. The irony was inescapable. The very connections that enabled the rise also exposed the strategy. Celebrity friends who barely knew them attended their wedding. The superficiality was obvious. These weren't relationships but transactions, not friendships but business arrangements. The glamour couldn't hide the calculation. The long-term cost remains uncalculated. When you build relationships on utility, they end when usefulness expires. When you choose connections over friendships, you end up with neither. When you prioritize networking over loyalty, you create a hollow existence. The wedding guest list wasn't just revealing past choices, but predicting future isolation. What happened here wasn't unique in ambition, but in execution. Many people network aggressively. Many prioritize connections over relationships. But few do it so visibly, so brazenly, so successfully, and yet so destructively. The wedding guest list became a manifesto, a declaration that old loyalties meant nothing, that military service was irrelevant, that family was negotiable, that everything and everyone had a price. The ultimate tragedy isn't the lost friendships or severed bonds. It's the model this creates, the message it sends. That authenticity is weakness, that loyalty is outdated, that relationships exist only for exploitation, that love itself can be strategized. The wedding that should have united instead divided, the celebration that should have honored instead excluded. The lesson isn't about them, but about us. About a culture that rewards such behavior, that celebrates strategic relationships over genuine ones, that values connections over character. They simply played the game better than most, more ruthlessly, more effectively, more visibly, and in doing so revealed the game's ultimate emptiness.